the bass desert. That was Summer NAMM 2021. And Graphite next. What's the deal? Let's check it out. Metal Bass Monday. So there's a lot to cover in here, besides the fact that, yes, NAMM was a bass desert. But a couple interesting things, and the main reason I wanted to go was kind of feeling out the industry and seeing where things seem like they're going and if there's any early indicators, especially about the bigger show being the one people take most seriously, Winter NAMM, and just get to talk with some dealers, some manufacturers, and kind of see where things are living. The impression that I got from it is that people are still timid. You know, they're kind of feeling it out. I feel like Summer NAMM was kind of a sounder tossed in the water to kind of go, okay, will people show up? Is it worth investing in? That kind of thing. It, even for Summer NAMM, was a little on the blank side. This could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing. For me, I actually liked it. I really was kind of glad that some of the room was freed up from major guitar companies that I'm going to get bombarded with press releases, and a lot of the influencers and YouTube guys are going to get the same gear at the same time, and I'm not going to be able to escape it to a certain degree. A lot of smaller dealers were able to kind of have enough space, and they could reach out to people who normally, if you're familiar with Winter NAMM a lot, they would be on the bottom floor in kind of the sub-basement, if you haven't been there. And a lot of these guys get overlooked, and, you know, the big guys take up a lot of traffic that their social media is going to cover anyway. So I felt like it let some boutique people shine a little bit. It let people have longer conversations and really have the time to sit and get information from some of the builders and things that they normally wouldn't have, that there's going to be tons of interruptions, or you can't hear anything, or things like that. So I thought it was very cool. And as a number of you know, if you watch the channel, I am endorsed with AMT. I'm going to show a couple things here in a minute. But I felt like AMT is someone I've really, you know, I've been behind them for quite a while, and I love their stuff and everything, and I'd really like to see them get more of the respect and kind of the interest that they deserve, because they're a great company with great people, and I try and support that. Plus, their stuff is just amazing. It really is. And at the show, it seemed like they really got a lot of attention. And so I felt like in a lot of ways that was a benefit, and kind of, if you're going to go to a trade show, that's, to me, more what should be happening, is dealers and artists and influencers and everything getting the time to find the stuff that they normally won't find online, that kind of drinking from the fire hose kind of effect of just getting bombarded. And 90% of what you're going to see is going to be, you know, the big boys, because they have the big advertising budgets. And not a lot of influencers get their stuff in their hands or have time to talk with them. So it was cool to see companies like them and a couple others actually get some real playtime. And I think it did well, because I think they impressed a number of people. And it made it kind of a cooler hang, too. You know, I think NAMM may be kind of transforming in a way. It's less about, you know, these companies appealing to dealers and selling and things like that, because a lot of that's done outside the show now. With how media is changing, I think that person-to-person contact is starting to matter a lot more for companies to deal with artists that are, you know, in charge of a lot of media, have YouTube channels, things like that, or guys that are actually live gigging a lot and need specific solutions, and they need something a little different, or people who are just looking for something different. That those kind of people can interface with each other and have conversations and get information from each other about what's really going on in media and what kind of currents are going on. And if that's kind of how this stage is set, I think it's a good precedent, and I'm hoping that Winter NAMM will start to turn into more of that too. And I think to survive, it'll have to be that way, because I know a little bit about the guitar business and how it's run. And if you're relying on face-to-face interaction for taking orders, or, you know, pushing people to take larger startups and things like that, it's just not necessary in person anymore. It's just gotten too easy, and the lockdowns kind of forced us into it. So now that the tools are there, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to go backwards to that. and especially having to fly all the way to Anaheim and People International and the inevitable NAMM thrax that you wind up going home with and feeling like crap for a few days. So that's my overall impression of it. And yeah, bass players got kind of a raw deal, though. There wasn't much there. It was, I would say, actually mostly pedals and things like that. Rev amps were there. They were kind of cool. But yeah, just not even a lot of amp companies. Boutique things very much. Couple of guitar builders, mostly pedals, oddball type of things. But yeah, I'm hoping that'll pick up a little bit more because you can't ignore the low end guys. Come on. But a couple of things I wanted to show off, and just some things that I thought were kind of cool from the show. Strangely enough, one of the things I actually found interesting was a company called Bog Street that makes picks. I really like when somebody will at least take a chance. We'll try something new or try and solve a problem, and that's kind of one of the things that I'm hoping for more, you know, out of NAMM as well, is those smaller people trying innovative things get a little bit of a shot. And I checked out Bog Street, and they have a really interesting pick design. There you go. And each one of these tips, you can see, is slightly different and actually a different gauge. So I found this kind of cool because just in thinking about my guitar picking, you know, I do guitar as well. We get some guitar demos going here. But having a thinner gauge, it's not flexible really, but a thinner gauge, and then more of like a jazz 3-end on the same thing. When I think about my own picking, I tend to like something actually a little thinner when I'm doing rhythm, especially chugging and things, because I pick angle pretty heavily, and I like getting a little bit of that grind and that cut going across the lower strings. But when I go to do leads and things, my hand tends to turn and kind of touch with the front of the guitar, and I generally like a little bit of a thicker pick that lets me kind of flow back and forth smoothly over the strings, and kind of being able to roll and have that choice that I don't have to compromise on both, along with having, you know, this center hole in it and a pick grip. Kind of a really interesting combination, and there's a number of different variations that they had on the things. It may work for you. The more that I've sat and messed with it, the more it's kind of grown on me. So that was very kind of cool. And besides, they had a giant lizard man at the front of the booth. How can you not respect the lizard man? You know, come on. Now, next up was obviously something from AMT. They let me roll out with a prototype, and there's going to be demos galore coming up. And I'm also going to try and hook up with some people and try and help them get introduced to AMT gear as well. So you'll probably be hearing a little bit more about them from multiple sources here. But this thing kind of blew me away, so I wanted to give a bit of a sneak peek to you. This is a pedal board based on their Brix preamps. If you watch the channel, you know I've shown you the Brix preamps from the Alembic for bass that they have, and the Orange A200 bass, and the Pangea Ultima that has basically everything under the sun in it. IR loader, preamps, chorus delay, noise gates, all that stuff. But this freaked me out because when you look at these, I'm going to pull one off here. Which one is already unhooked? This one here. On the back, you can see there's a chip slot that these were designed with that I always kind of wondered what it was for. Apparently, it's for this. You lock it onto this board just like you would plug in like a video card or a graphics card, and you can set a number of dip switches here that control the operation. I'm trying to keep the glare off of this. It's polished aluminum. But this is a really lightweight board, and the cool thing is you just pop this on there, it locks in, and now according to those dip switches, you can use this to talk to the others. Like I may come in, pop that one on. When I hit this one, it knows to turn this one off automatically and change the program on this. Plus, you pop this on the board, you attach your power, and that's it. No cords go in between it. It's all the audio goes through via the circuit. So that's pretty wild. The other thing is, and this is really nuts too, is that on the back here, you have 2 power amps. Yes, those are power amps. You can use one or multiple ones. You can buy, just one, or you can do a stereo set. You have a presence and a resonance and an output level for each. So you could have 2 completely different power section settings for 2 different preamps, a number of different combinations, and the thing actually rages. There's enough in here to actually give it some kick. We were using it through a Celestion 112 speaker, and we got asked to turn down. So this is actually, let me see if I can get this in focus here, what that power amp looks like. That's it, you know, light as a feather. So that to me was really fascinating. I can't wait to really dive into this and do some more stuff and bring that to you guys. I think that's going to be debuting full here soon. And I think that basically all they're doing is making a couple last minute cosmetic changes, making sure everything's locked down and tested. So that's going to be ready soon. And I'm probably going to add this to my demo coming up of the Alembic and Orange brick pedal series things. I'm also going to be showing off a couple more of the brick series. I'm going to show the VHT, the PV, modded Marshall, and the Soldano. So a lot to see here. And then, of course, the Pangea. So AMT is just bringing the fire one after another. They develop stuff faster than, Jesus, it's just insane. And on that topic, I mentioned a while back, and things are solidifying and going to be coming up soon. I'll be doing my own custom IR sets, guitar and bass, my cabinets, and that'll be released as a signature pack through AMT. We're talking about that more. I'm hoping we'll be able to put something together and have it ready maybe for the winter show, and that'll have presets and IRs for a number of their different units exactly tailored to my sound and the sounds you hear me using on the show and in the recordings. So real cool stuff there. And then one final project that it's a bit of a secret here. If you watch the channel, you might know what it involves, but we're talking about possibly working together on it. And if it comes out, it's going to be a killer. So good stuff with that coming up. And again, that's the kind of stuff that you don't necessarily get at the show when it's just complete chaos. Now, on the subject of other things you can't get at the show when it's complete chaos, I got to hang with some other YouTube guys and just very cool people and have some really awesome long conversations and start some new friendships and some interactions that I think are going to be really cool. So I want to give these guys a shout out, and all these channels and connections to these people will be down below. Follow their channels, check them out, subscribe to them. They're definitely good people doing cool things and doing the on-the-ground reporting and demos that we're all kind of after. So got to hang with my man from Arnold Plays Guitar. If you haven't seen his channel yet, does really cool stuff, brutal frank reviews, steers you away from the bad stuff, and he's been doing some live streams where he's writing lately, and the man writes a riff. It's definitely cool stuff. Check him out. And you got truck driver Sean, absolute massive dude with a great heart to him. He seemed very cool and everything. We got to hang and talk for a while, and we may have a little something coming up. I'm going to try and hook him up with a little bit of thing here. And Greg over at Angry Tones, providing the reviews and the angry tones. Trey Xavier from Gear Gods was around. Very cool guy, super down to earth, and we had a few laughs, so definitely appreciate him coming out and talking a little bit and hanging at the booth. And another man who loves the old PV gear, so after my heart right away. Kyle Bull, very cool guy, real knowledgeable about his amps, and we got to nerd out over PV guitar and bass stuff for a minute, so it was great meeting him. Check his channel out too. He does some very cool reviews and demos, and he goes through guitar heads like few I've seen. So definitely check these guys out. They're really awesome. And on the bass side, last but most definitely not least, finally got to catch up with Will, the Low End Lobster. Very cool. We got to talk for a bit. Wish we could have interacted more, but hopefully maybe at Winter NAMM or something else that comes up. But I'm sure most of you know his channel. We did the mutual reviews and demos back and forth of the Beard of Doom's legendary custom bass. But if you haven't already, check out his channel. Real cool stuff, and he's been doing some mod things and stuff lately that have been really cool and providing a lot of good information. So definitely recommend him, and it was great to see my friend Dino from Ampeg. We go way back to teaching at Musicians Institute together and working there. And yeah, I mean, it's Ampeg, and Dino's a great guy. So thanks to everybody for the awesome conversation. It was great meeting you, and hopefully I'll see a number of you here on YouTube a bit and coming up in a few months. So that wraps summer 2021. So what the hell's the deal with the graphite? Let's figure it out. So when most people talk about graphite necks, they often are talking about two different things and they don't differentiate in between them. I'm a big fan of graphite and I wish more people were able to use it. It's, especially for metal, if you like a really aggressive, pinging right off the board type of attack, super fast, there's just no substitute. But there are two types of graphite necks, and here's the difference. One is you have a completely composite neck, meaning the entire neck is made out of graphite, the fingerboard is likely made out of graphite, and most of these are even without a truss rod, because once it's set, I mean, it's like an iron bar. You're just not going to get any movability. So even aside from tone, that's a massive advantage. For me, I really enjoy stuff like that for different tunings and things like that, and a couple other options I'll talk about here in a minute. Now, on the other side, a lot of people will just call something that's actually a carbon wrap a graphite neck as well. And what I mean by that is you actually have a maple neck or, you know, any kind of wood neck and a wood fingerboard, but you have a wrap that's around it that's graphite. So it actually is a wood core, but there's a graphite around it. And these are going to give two different results. First, we have a PVG base. This is a G base. This is very cool. Kind of a black sparkle. I'm enjoying that one. But as you can tell on this one, we have a regular rosewood fingerboard. But on the back, see if the fiber will show up, you can see that woven fiber kind of back. See if I can show some of it off there. It's a little hard to see, especially with the black finish, but there I think you can see it a bit. And you get, you know, some of the sound advantages, but to me this feels, it's pretty much basically jazz neck with a rosewood fingerboard, but it's got a little bit more stability. It does have a truss rod in it because you do need to adjust it some, although I did notice this was way easier and faster to set up. And that made a big difference. So you're definitely going to get a little bit more because of the stability, a little bit more tightness and sharpness of attack. So next up is, for me, the real deal, and something I picked up recently that is just quite possibly, it's real close to being every option in a dream base I would want. We'll see if I can do any further modifications on a custom I'm building, but as far as this goes, everybody, if you watch the channel, you know I've been a big fan of Spectre, and a lot of that is because I love maple-bodied bases. And they have a certain mass and size, and they look great, they feel good, and I love just the solidness of a maple body. And this is a PV B Quad 4, which is the Brian Bromberg signature. You can see here, just gorgeous, and really happening flame maple and a violet kind of thing here. And this is an actual graphite neck. You can see the composite dead black fingerboard, and then you have the graphite pattern on the back. So what people don't know about this base actually is that these necks were made by Modulus Graphite. One of my other kind of favorite bases has been a Modulus because of those necks. I've always loved them. Wasn't always psyched about the body shape, but I wind up seeing this and go, basically, I've got a flame maple solid Spectre style body with a Modulus graphite neck. I've got a Modu Spectre. It's pretty awesome, and there's a complete difference in feel to a graphite neck. It's just got something to it that it doesn't give. If you really like feeling like you can almost dig in a little bit, it's not going to be the right thing for you to put your money into, especially since these can be a little pricey. But man, graphite it has a piano-like attack that I just don't know other bases that can get them. And when you have a completely composite fingerboard and neck, there's just nothing like it. I really enjoy them. So, you know, there's, to me, a fluid feel to it as well, because there's just no inconsistencies. These things are made like a slab and they don't bend. So as long as your fretwork is tight, man, you've got just something that is absolutely bulletproof. This has a very slim kind of jazz, almost like a Geddy Lee Fender, if you've ever played one, type of feel. And that's the other thing, is you can make slimmer necks and things that don't suffer the temperature conditions that like a slim maple neck will or something. It'll be dead straight and feel solid as hell, but you're not going to have to endure a bunch of garbage with it. Yeah, so, I mean, it just has a fluidity and a stability that I just find you don't get on any other style of neck. So, Graphite can be your best friend or your worst enemy. If you want to hear everything like I do and want that immediate attack and hyper clarity, Graphite's the way. There is no substitute. If you don't want every inconsistency in your playing and everything to come bounding out, either learn to EQ pretty well, or maybe wood or a Graphite wrap's better for you. So you'll definitely be seeing both of these basses popping up. I'll probably do full and further deep dives into them, and they'll pop up in some other demos too. Now, as a recommendation on this, I have no affiliation with the shop, but I was, doing some research for talking about Graphite necks, and I came across the site that had this beauty kind of listed on it, and that was basspluckers.com. And I really like supporting smaller businesses or people that give you that kind of attention that you don't usually get. And Greg there was really awesome. I definitely recommend, if you're especially looking for something with Graphite, check that guy out. There'll be a link down below, but I called and talked to him. He asked if he could call me right back immediately, and then just texted me excellent close-up, brightly lit pictures of every part where he thought there might be any kind of flaw, something I needed to see. Sent me like 10 pictures immediately. We talked for a couple of minutes, struck a great deal, and he had that thing boxed up, tracking number to me, out the door, and FedEx rolling with it within an hour of us talking. I got it just a couple days later, excellent shape, and he even did some follow-up stuff, found out, because I was curious what strings had come stock on it, he wasn't sure. Went back, found all that information out, checked out a couple of things, because the preamp is an original to the bass, so he got me the exact model and information, followed up on it. That's the kind of thing that is really cool, and I like giving a little bit of a shout out to people like that. He's got some really unique stuff on the website where, Graphite necks that have been put into basses, like maybe a Music Man or something like that, you wouldn't normally find, or custom pieces. So if you're looking for something like this, I definitely recommend you check him out first. And yeah, great guy to deal with and good business practice. So we all want to support that stuff. So thanks to him for getting this out. I'm hoping maybe he'll come across one more, or maybe a 5. And as long as I don't have to take out a second mortgage to get it, maybe I'll grab that on here. So what do you think about Summer NAMM? And what do you think's going on as far as maybe what we might expect in the winter? Was my report on it what you expected to hear? Let's keep it going in the comments. And do you own any Graphite neck basses? I'd love to hear it. Coming up soon, I'm going to be doing that transcription of Elephant Gun and getting everything set up. I'm going to walk you guys through it. And as always, thank you to my patrons. Of course, you guys are going to get the second half of that, where I do an in-depth thing and we talk about the composition of the song and not a little bit deeper into the technique behind it. So you guys are awesome. Thanks so much. And that's going to wrap it for this one. Thanks, as always, for checking it out, and I will see you on the next one.